I found out my husband had another family by accident, and at first I thought it was some kind of stupid misunderstanding. It happened on a normal Tuesday, nothing special, just one of those quiet evenings when everything feels routine, and honestly, that's probably why it hits so hard. I was sitting on the couch with his laptop because mine had died earlier that day, and I needed to check my email quickly. He was in the shower, and I didn't think twice about using it. We'd never had any rules about that. We shared everything, or at least I thought we did. So I opened the browser, and his email was already logged in, and I wasn't even trying to snoop. I just needed to reset a password for something, but then I saw a subject line that didn't make sense. It said, "Can't wait to see you this weekend," and the name wasn't familiar. Not a coworker, not a friend, not anyone I'd ever heard him mention. At first I just stared at it, like my brain refused to process what I was looking at, and then I clicked it, almost without thinking. The message was short, casual, like it wasn't a big deal at all. Something about how the kids keep asking when you're coming back, and don't forget to bring the blue jacket, she loves it. And I remember rereading that sentence over and over again, the kids, because we don't have kids. We've been trying for years, actually, and it's been complicated. My first reaction wasn't even anger, it was confusion, like maybe this was meant for someone else, maybe it was spam, maybe it was just a weird coincidence. But then I scrolled down and saw previous messages, and they went back months, maybe longer, and they weren't vague at all. They were full of details, everyday things, grocery lists, school schedules, photos. There was one picture attached, and I hesitated before opening it, because something in me already knew I didn't want to see it, but I opened it anyway. It was him. My husband. Standing in a park, smiling, holding the hand of a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, and next to him was a woman I had never seen before, leaning into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. And I remember my hands actually started shaking, like physically shaking, and I had to put the laptop down for a second because it felt like the room was tilting. Then I heard the shower turn off. That snapped me back, and I quickly closed everything, like I'd been caught doing something wrong, which is ridiculous when I think about it now, but in that moment, I just didn't know what to do. I sat there, trying to act normal, my heart racing so loud I was sure he'd hear it when he walked into the room. He came out a minute later, towel around his shoulders, completely relaxed, like any other evening, and he asked me if I wanted tea, just like he always did. And I looked at him, really looked at him, and I tried to find something different, some sign that he wasn't who I thought he was, but he looked exactly the same. That's what messed with me the most. Because how do you sit next to someone, share a life with them for 8 years, and not see something this big? I didn't say anything that night. I just nodded, said yes to the tea, and somehow we went through the whole evening like nothing had happened. We watched TV, we talked about work, he even complained about being tired from a long week, and I just listened, because now every word felt wrong. Later, when he fell asleep, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head, trying to make sense of it. I thought maybe I misunderstood, maybe there was some explanation, something logical that would make it all less insane. But the messages didn't leave much room for interpretation. The next morning, I waited until he left for work, and then I opened his laptop again, this time on purpose. And that's when things got even worse. So the next morning, after he left for work, I opened his laptop again, and this time I didn't hesitate, I went straight to his email and started reading everything. At first it felt unreal, like I was reading someone else's life, but the more I scrolled, the more details I saw, and it became impossible to deny what it was. This wasn't some random affair or a few secret messages, this was a whole second life, organized, consistent, and going on for years. There were emails about rent, school meetings, doctor appointments, even things like, "Don't forget to pick up milk on your way," just normal everyday stuff, the kind of messages you send when you live with someone. And then there were photos, dozens of them, birthdays, holidays, a Christmas tree, the same man I shared a home with, smiling in a completely different setting. I found an address in one of the messages, in another city about 3 hours away, and I just sat there staring at it for a long time, because at that point I had a choice. I could wait and confront him, or I could go see it for myself. And I didn't want explanations anymore, I wanted to see the truth. So I got dressed, grabbed my keys, and I drove there. The whole drive felt like I was on autopilot, my hands on the wheel, but my mind jumping between thoughts, trying to prepare for something you can't really prepare for. I kept thinking maybe I'd get there and it would all fall apart, maybe I'd misunderstood something, maybe I'd find some simple explanation. But deep down, I already knew. When I got to the address, it was just a normal apartment building, nothing unusual, kids' bikes near the entrance, a small playground nearby, and I remember sitting in the car for a few minutes, watching people come and go, trying to slow my breathing. Then I saw him. He walked out of the building like he belonged there, wearing jeans and a jacket I had bought him last year, and right behind him came the same little girl from the photo, holding his hand, talking about something I couldn't hear. And then the woman followed, carrying a bag, and he turned to her, said something, and she smiled at him like it was the most natural thing in the world. And that was it, there was no more doubt, no more confusion, just this heavy, quiet certainty. I got out of the car before I could change my mind. I walked straight toward them, and I could feel my heartbeat in my throat, but I didn't stop. He saw me when I was maybe 10 steps away, and the look on his face. I've never seen anything like it. It wasn't just surprise, it was panic, like everything he had built was collapsing in front of him. I stopped a few feet away and just said his name. He let go of the girl's hand immediately, like the contact burned him, and he looked between me and the woman, clearly trying to figure out what to say, but nothing came out at first. The woman looked confused, then concerned, and she asked, "Who is this?" And for a second, he said nothing, just stood there, frozen. So I answered for him. "I'm his wife." There was this silence, heavy and sharp, and I watched her expression change, confusion turning into disbelief, then into something harder, something colder. She looked at him, waiting for him to deny it, to say something, but he didn't. Instead, he started talking fast, trying to explain, saying things like, "It's not what it looks like," and, "I was going to tell you," but the words didn't even make sense, not in that moment, not in that situation. The little girl was looking up at him, clearly confused, holding onto his sleeve, asking, "What's happening?" And that question just cut through everything. I looked at him and asked, "How long?" He hesitated, and that hesitation told me more than any answer could, but then he said, quietly, 6 years. 6 years. We've been married for 8. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the only reaction my body could find, and I shook my head, trying to process how someone can live 2 completely separate lives for that long. The woman stepped back from him, like she suddenly didn't recognize the person she was standing next to, and she asked him, "You're married? You have another wife?" He tried to reach for her, but she pulled away, and I could see everything falling apart for him in real time. I didn't stay much longer. There wasn't anything left to say in that moment, not in front of a child, not in the middle of a sidewalk. I just looked at him one last time and said, "Don't come back." Then I turned around and walked back to my car. He called my name once, but I didn't stop. The drive home felt completely different from the drive there, quieter somehow, like everything inside me had settled into something solid, something final. I wasn't confused anymore, I wasn't searching for explanations, because I had all the answers I needed. When I got home, I packed his things. Not everything, just the essentials, clothes, shoes, the stuff he'd need immediately, and I put the suitcase by the door. A couple of hours later, he came back. I heard the key in the lock, and for a second I wondered if he'd just walk in like nothing had happened, but when he opened the door and saw the suitcase, he stopped. We stood there in silence for a moment, just looking at each other. He started to speak, probably another explanation, another attempt to fix something that couldn't be fixed anymore, but I didn't let him. I pointed at the suitcase and said, "Take it." He didn't move right away, just stood there, like he was hoping I'd change my mind, like this was just a temporary reaction. So I repeated it, calmer this time, "Take it and go." He picked up the suitcase slowly, still watching me, waiting for something, anything, but I didn't give him that. I just stood there, holding the door open. He stepped outside, and right before he left, he said, "I'm sorry." And I looked at him and answered, "I know." Then I closed the door.